Ladies and gentlemen, I've traveled halfway across the state today to be with you. I have 30,000 influencers posting 6 times a day, and I think What's up, everyone? Episode 74 of Drink with James. It's Halloween. I'm dressed as Daniel Plainview from There Will Be Blood, a masterpiece. If you haven't seen it, you're an idiot. I don't really know what to say to you. And this whole look probably doesn't make sense.
Well, I've traveled across half our state to be here and to see about this land. So,
Tim and I we're out of conference season into hibernation season. We did 2 conferences in 2 weeks, both super successful. Really great to meet all y'all. Our clients at the brand meeting, the influencers out at the influencer conference. A lot of you have been asking if we filmed it. No, we try and keep these things valuable in the day and in the moment. And filming it and giving it to you for free wouldn't really make much fucking business sense now, would it? So there is no video. It's disappeared. It's a Snapchat of conferences. Oh God, excuse me. I also bought a Stetson recently, open road. Any Stetson fans in the house? Drop me a comment. I did it for this costume, and was kind of like initially like, oh, this is going to kind of be a joke, but now I just wear it all the time, very much not as a joke. And I was thinking about that and about how, when you are changing, especially your style, you always have that first moment when you try something on, it looks really weird. The first time I put a Tom Brown suit on and the pants come up 4 or 5 inches above where normal pants come, and you're just like super uncomfortable when you think it looks really weird. And then you go put on your other pants and those start to look really weird. It's interesting how that happens. But as you guys know better than I do, style mavens that you are, it's important to get outside of your comfort zone and sometimes maybe just like shave a mustache and get a cowboy hat and see what happens. I'll probably start talking with more of a southern accent. I have had a mustache once before. Funny enough, also on Halloween, it was a John Waters mustache, so it was like a pencil stash, and I wore a cravat or an ascot and walked around. That was a little creepier. The pencil mustaches are quite strange. But yeah, this is only my second mustache experience. Enjoying it more than the first. Some of you, if you're lucky enough, will be getting another little Insta story thing from us, today, or if you're watching this on Tuesday, yesterday, Wednesday, 2 days ago, you get the point. We sent out these Insta stories that show if you were the top influencer by impressions for a certain brand. So if you are at 20,000 followers and you talked about Gucci every day because you love Gucci, then you would get and you were the person that talked about Gucci the most in your following level, then you get a little Insta story badge that says, hey, you are the top influencer for Gucci, and you can post that, and you tag Gucci, and you tag Fohr, everyone's happy, the brand's like, oh, who's this person? This is cool, I should work with them. Boom, they send you furry slippers for free, life goal achieved, unlocked, all that. So keep an eye out for that. Again, it's based on the number of impressions you produce for specific brands. There's about 300 brands that are in the queue that we're tracking. So if any of you got that, congratulations. If you didn't, well, talk more about your favorite brands, and maybe you'll get one. This is for the last 30 days, so they'll go out on the 1st of every month, unless it's like a Sunday, but you get the point. They'll go out early each month for the month previous. So the ones that will be going out now are for October, and then et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Question 1. I always talk about having brands tell you their budget before you tell them your price. We do this because sometimes they have more money than you maybe would have offered. It kind of makes them go first. And I've talked about the idea of them buying something from you, you not selling it. So they're coming to you. You can ask them for a budget first. Sometimes they'll push back. So he's saying, what happens if they make you speak first? If they make you speak first, be honest about what you think you deserve and what you think you would do this job for. Look at all the deliverables, look at the things you have to do. Try and put yourself, we talk about putting yourself into the mindset of being there on that day, posting about that product. Is that something that's going to really excite you? Or are you going to feel like, I kind of need a little extra money to do that? Are they making you dye your hair? Are they making you shoot, one sweater 5 ways? All these things go into the price. So say a price that's fair. I don't really believe in inflating your pricing that much. I prefer to just come in and say, this is my price and I can't negotiate. Let me step back. You don't want to say this is my price and I can't negotiate, but I prefer to just give a fair price. And I sometimes just say that, like, hey, I was doing this when we hired someone recently. I was like, hey, I could tell you this number, and then you could tell me this number, and then we could meet somewhere in the middle. But instead of that, why don't I just give you this number and say that that's what I can do. That's what I got. And like, they accepted, they appreciated that. We didn't have to go back and forth and do the whole song and dance. So you can acknowledge that and say, hey, I could say $750. And then you could come back and say $250, and then we could settle on $500. But why don't we just settle on $500? Because that's like what I feel like I'm actually worth. So I'm not going to try and squeeze more out of you. Brands that are doing this a lot, they kind of know what's normal. And influencer pricing, it's decently consistent. So you don't want to be too far outside of what is normal, unless you have a reason to be. If you're someone like Creative Keepy, who spoke at our conference, and she creates, she's an artist. She creates these beautiful pieces of art or stop motion for her posts, then like it makes sense that she's going to be quite a bit more expensive than the average kind of normal influencer. So you can be above, your pricing can be above the industry standard, but you do need to have an explanation on why that is. Do you convert at 10% for sales? Like, cool, then like say that and the brand would be willing to pay it, but don't just throw a huge price out and like cross your fingers that they'll pay. Here's the reason why. Go to a restaurant, you get a $15 meal, right? It's pretty good, right? Like, okay, so it's $15, you get the meal. It doesn't blow you away, but it's good. You drink your wine, you talk to your friends, you leave, you're like, that's a good meal. That met my expectations. Now, if that same meal was $50 a plate, you're looking at that a lot different. You're going to feel a lot different about that food when it comes out. You're expecting a $50 meal. I'm a huge snob. Let's just call a spade a spade. I don't eat it at restaurants that often that have $50 entrees, and when I do, I fucking expect that it's going to be one of the top 20 meals of my life. It should be, right? And so think about it that way. Like, if you're charging Michelin star prices, you better bring the fucking goods. Because just because you got a brand to pay 2 times what your rate is, well, they expect you to be 2 times better than maybe you are. You expect 2 times the results that maybe you can deliver for them. And then what are you gonna do? They're never gonna fucking work with you again. Congratulations, like you made $500 instead of $250. Like, where did that get you? Nowhere. Do it for $250, grow your following, do it for $350 next, do it for $400, do it for $500, build a long-term relationship with the brand. Who knows where that goes in 2 years, but you're not here to, this isn't a transaction for you to cash out once. These are long-term relationships, and you should be thinking about the lifetime value of these deals. Could you make twice as much on the first one? Maybe. Could you make $10,000 with this client over the course of the next 5 years? Maybe if you treat them well and if you're fair. So just be fair and honest. Like, it's not that hard. You'll get paid eventually. I only have 2,500 followers. Okay, so this is someone's saying I talk a lot about micro-influencers, but when we talk about micro-influencers, Fohr Card's definition is 10 to 50K generally for micro. So he's at 2,500. She, I can't remember. Do they have a chance? This is cheesy, I guess, but true. Like, literally every influencer with over 2,500 followers had 2,500 followers once. That's just a fucking fact of life. So like, do you have a chance? Yeah, sure. Like, literally everybody who is at 2,501 and above has been there, and they've made it work. So like, yeah, you absolutely have a chance. Do you have a chance to like be working with brands? I think you maybe could. 2,500 people is that's a decent amount of people that are listening to you every day. Now, are you going to get paid for it? Are you going to get rich? Are you going to get free hotel rooms? Absolutely not. You're not getting any of that. But you're on the way, maybe. I think the jump to focusing on money is just it's too fast. You're thinking about money too soon. And one of the speakers at the conference talked a lot about why you do this, and she's an agent, one of the best agents in the industry, and she only works with people who are doing this to inspire or empower or lift other people up. So if you're out here and you're trying to capitalize on what you've built just for selfish gains and you just want to make money, it's probably not going to work. And at 2,500, at 5,000, at 10,000, I say this over and over again, but you should just be focused on growth. If what you want to do is be a professional influencer and quit your job, make money on this, travel the world, get the free hotels, all that fun shit that's really cool, then you should be focused on growth, not on how can I take these 10,000 followers and start getting free shit or getting money from brands. It's too early. Focus on growth. Get that account up above 50K. Get it above 100K, and things start really changing for you. But I wouldn't try and cash in too early. So what do you do if a brand makes you talk first? Well, if Daniel Plainview has taught us anything, from there will be blood. You look them in the eye, frown, you say, one night, I'm going to come into your house and I'm going to slit your throat. Don't tell me how to run my family. Okay, I blog mostly about travel. Is there a benefit to reaching out to travel and PR brands that I would one day like to work with just to get to know each other? I have a small following. Great question. When do you start networking? I'd say early, Understand that these travel PR companies in general, fashion, travel, sports, whatever you're into, Stetsons, they're quite busy. Managing clients is difficult, and they're demanding, and there's a lot of emailing, and so it's fairly high touch, and they're pretty busy, and their inboxes are generally out of control. So take that into account. I think if you're a smaller influencer, let's say sub 50K, it could be harder for you to get a meeting just because you don't have a big enough following maybe yet. And I'm speaking specifically to travel. This is not true in some other places. Travel it's a tough space. Everybody wants free hotel rooms, and unlike fashion and beauty, increasingly influencers are not working for free at all. They're not doing anything for product. The top influencers in the world are still doing posts for free in exchange for travel because they like to travel and they don't want to pay for it. So it puts you in a difficult position, whereas if you have 30,000 followers and you're a beauty influencer, you could work with a lot of beauty brands because bigger influencers are charging them all this money. So you say, hey, I'd love to get some product, I'll post for you, et cetera, et cetera. Travel, that's not going to work. You can't email the Four Seasons and say, hey, I've got 30,000 followers, I'd love to work with you. So travel PR, they're probably not going to take the meeting if you have a smaller following because there's nothing they can do immediately. So what's the point of the meeting? Now, you want to get to know them, that totally makes sense. You should start that process. So how can you add value to their life today? Okay, you can't work with any of their clients maybe, but maybe you stayed at one of their clients' properties. You can send a blog post, you can send them Instagrams that you did, and tell them, and say you'd like to stay in touch. If the other thing is you want to balance asking for a lot with being realistic, and so maybe if you're reaching out to that travel PR company, let's say they rep the Four Seasons, just, so we have something to talk about here. You could say, hey, I'm going on this trip, I'm staying at the Four Seasons in wherever you're going, New York. So I'm going to New York, I'm staying at the Four Seasons. Is there anything specific the team would like me to cover? I'm going to do some Instagrams. Is there anything I can do to highlight it? Oh, we just rebuilt the gym. That would be amazing if you could post something down there, like enjoy your stay. If that's a good PR person, they will probably do something. Maybe they'll try and get you upgraded. Maybe they'll send a bottle of champagne up. They should do something. But you've reached out now. Instead of saying, hey, I'd love to meet you, you say, hey, I'm staying at one of these properties. I'm already going to be covering it. Is there anything specific you want? Is there anything essentially all you're saying is like, hi, is there anything I can do for you? Right? And most of the emails that they get are, hi, is there anything you can do for me? And that's just like an annoying email to get. I get it all the time, you know, influencers emailing me being like, hi, I'd love to be a part of your campaigns. It's like, cool, well, like, so would 29,999 other influencers on the platform probably. So like, I don't fucking know you. Hi, I'd like money. Like, no shit, everybody wants money. So what are you doing for them? You have to, you know, we talk about this sales process and we talk about first part of closing a sale is building a relationship. So, and I get this question is like, how do I build the relationship? You don't build it by reaching out and saying, I want these things. So try and give back. Say, what can I do for you? I stayed at your property, here's a roundup of what I did. I stayed at competitive properties, this is a roundup of what I did. I'm looking to plan a trip to such and such. I don't know. But think about, put yourself into the mindset of somebody who's really busy, and you are probably busy in your life, and try and make their lives a little bit easier. If you can do that, you're probably on the way to kind of starting a relationship. But it's never too early to reach out, but it can be too early to ask for things. Better to have brands offer things than to ask. And I know that seems really obvious, but you know, let's you know, we've had Sydney on the show here, and we've talked about Veuve Clicquot, right? So let's say you want some Veuve for something that you're doing. You could reach out. I mean, Sydney said in her episode, like, reach out to me, tell me what you're doing, like, get your pitches, like, that totally works, especially if you have a bigger following. Let's say you're at 10K, and you want to reach out to Sydney. I would create content. I would buy a bottle of Veuve, and I would do a post about it. I would send it to her. Say, hey, I just thought you'd want to see this. It's my favorite champagne. I went to, you know, upstate. I went to a cabin with my friends this weekend, and we drank it. Here's some photos. Hope you're well. Now, Sydney might come back and say, I love this. Let me know next time you're doing something fun. I'll send you some out, right? So like, so much better than you reaching out and being like, hey, Sydney, I'm going upstate with friends. Can I get champagne? You buy it, you create the content, you prove yourself. That was another part of the sales process for us, is validation. You validated yourself. You have nice content. It looks good. You did a good job. The bottle, you can see the bottle, blah, 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 blah. And then they offer. Much better situation. So build that relationship early, but don't try and cash in on it right away. Let them come to you. I think you can send it anytime. I don't think, so Tim's question is like, when do you send it? Does it look like overly eager, bad to be like, send it right after? Essentially like, I did this so I have something to send you. No, I don't think so, because like, again, you're proving that you're serious about it. You know, you went out and you bought the bottle of champagne, you shot it, you posted it, you're sending that along. This is a business transaction, and this world is, you know, our world is built on that. You know, you give me something, I get something in return. And yeah, I don't think there's any like question about that, or that gets weird. You want something. You're emailing her, or, you know, anyone that you're emailing at a brand, you're probably emailing because you want something. They know that. But again, what do you do? Like, you know, those people that always just reach out when they want something and they never give you anything back. Like, those people suck. Think about your friends that like only reach out when they want shit from you, and then like they're just never around when you need something, or just when they don't need anything. Those people suck. Don't be that person, like, professionally. Try and help people out. You'll see, it'll come back to you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for me. Drink with James, episode 74, Halloween edition's done. Do you have anything else to add? Okay. What's he say? What's the last word? I'm finished. I'm finished.